It's a chilly night in St. Louis, and this evening the Cardinals are back in town as they play host to the Milwaukee Brewers. For Jake Westbrook, the starter this evening, a loss of 25 pounds and a new delivery this year.
It's all season I just kind of debated on how I was going to get back to that, finding that rhythm and being comfortable out there on the mound, and I kind of just concentrated on kind of bringing my hands up a little higher. Therefore, I can get my my hands out and find that rhythm. And so far, I brought that into spring training and just kind of been trying to repeat my delivery. And so far, I've been able to do that and stay in the zone.
With my partner Al Hrabosky, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and welcome to Cardinals baseball. Jake so far this year 2-1. And really does look like a different pitcher. He has been outstanding.
He really has been. And let's talk a little bit about the delivery. A year ago, he would come set with the ball at the belt. That makes for a long delivery. He's got to take that ball up, get on top of it, and then release it. This year, he's getting much better as he's holding the ball at the letters. Now he can bring it straight back, get on top of it, and much better run and sink, and most importantly, a repeatable delivery.
And the Cardinals face a very good right-hander here tonight, but they got to him on opening day. That's Yovani Gallardo. They've had good numbers against him in his career. The Brew Crew and Cards coming up. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drinking Bush Light. By your Mid-America Chevy dealers, the #1 selling brand in St. Louis. Find us at stlchevy.com. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, just no equal. The championship t-shirts being given out tonight. And tomorrow it'll be the championship cap. On Sunday, the replica trophy here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Tonight we begin a homestand, and along with Al Hrabosky, I'm Dan McLaughlin. And let's take a look at Ron Renicke's lineup today. It's Ricky Weeks leading things off, followed by Nyjer Morgan and Ryan Braun. Aramis Ramirez off to a slow start, then Corey Hart, Matt Gamble, Alex Gonzalez, Jonathan Lucroy, and Yovani Gallardo looking for his first hit. Jake Westbrook gets the start for the Redbirds, and he is 2-1.
One loss he had was in Pittsburgh, where the offense got shut down.
And the first pitch is a strike by Jake Westbrook.
Okay, ground ball pitcher, and did a couple little modifications to his delivery. He's right on top of the ball.
You don't see the arms coming above the cap or behind the head. Just a very simplified delivery from last year to what we see this year. And Al, he was telling us that the main reason he did that is that he felt his teammates were picking up the fact that he was tipping pitches, in particular his breaking ball. So to not tip pitches, he goes to this delivery, and it also allows him to simplify that delivery to the plate.
Very efficient, and his movements, all the stuff over your head and everything else is counterproductive. At some point you get to where he starts with the ball near your chest, and then you kind of use your leg drive. But when you have the long delivery with so many more mechanical parts, you have a tendency to have your arm drag, and then you don't have command of any of your pitches.
Here's a 2-2. Weeks pops it up on the infield. Rafael Furcal, the Cardinal shortstop, puts it away, and there's out number 1. The defense behind Jake Westbrook tonight. Holiday, good to see John Jay back in center. Beltran is in right. Freeze, Furcal, Schumacher, and Carpenter along the infield. Molina's behind the plate. Westbrook on the mound, and that's brought to you by Dobbs. Look at Cardinal manager Mike Matheny telling us the other day that he said, you know what, I sleep fine. I don't take the losses home with me. I don't take the wins either. Leave it right here at the ballpark. Nyjer Morgan hitting just 167, and it's 0-2.
And that's a very healthy attitude. This game can just tear you up inside mentally, and no matter how bad it goes, you got to think something positive before you leave the ballpark.
Up the middle, and that's a base hit on an 0-2 pitch. So base hit for Nyjer Morgan.
Reached out and hooked the ball away from him. Hit it back up the middle. Jake, you see now, it's just pretty simple. Just pivot on that back leg. When it comes forward, your arm comes forward, and then you finish off with your hand out in front. And it's almost like a flick of the wrist.
New adventure for every new city that Braun goes to after an eventful, to say the least, offseason. Suspended for 50 games. That was taken away by Major League Baseball, and nearly picked off was Morgan at first. First time that's ever happened to see it overturned. And the Players Association, along with Major League Baseball, agreeing with that and trying to move forward. Plaza Tire Service replay. And Braun is starting to heat it up. No Prince Fielder in this lineup, and they've got to have Braun back to a level that he was at a year ago if this team is going to do anything.
A year ago, he won the National League MVP.
Some believe it should have gone to Matt Kemp, and Matt Kemp is saying, all right, not last year, I'm getting it this year.
I think you're right. Said, okay. And Matt Kemp is just off to a great start. Slowed down a little bit in home runs, but when he's sitting there with 10.
The protection behind Braun has to improve as well. You've got Ramirez hitting just 191 on deck. Morgan is not running, and this could be two. Backing up, Schumacher out, no. Safe at second is Morgan. And two runners are on. It's a base hit, and Braun is aboard.
Get that sinker ground ball up the middle. Shu gets to it. They tried to shovel pass, really didn't have command of it. And Ralphie trying to be a first baseman. He has to stay on the bag. So he's trying to reach for it and cannot reach for it. So two hits here in the inning.
So here is Ramirez, the former Cub. Not an easy play for Skip to make as we get a look at our first bank, first take, and what the number 4 hitters the last 2 years have done. And Ramirez at 191 overall as a team right now. Number 4 spot at 181. Look at that on-base percentage only at 265.
Of course, Prince Fielder secured that spot in the order, 4th spot in the order, and he has not missed a beat. He's in the 320s with his batting average.
Aramis Ramirez, a 33-year-old, spent 8.5 years with the Chicago Cubs. Off of Westbrook into right field. Morgan being waved in. He'll score. Braun on his way to third. Ramirez comes through, and it's 1-0 Milwaukee.
When do you get a do-over?
It was an 0-2 mistake for Morgan as he singled up the middle. Braun a little bouncer that nearly turned into a double play. Instead, it was a base hit. And now this right off of Westbrook, his right leg, it looked like, or foot. And Ramirez picks up RBI number 8.
Deflected into right field.
And here's Corey Hart. We saw him. He had basically not even had a spring training. Didn't matter. He came out ripping.
Appeared in all 18 games, and he only made 3 appearances in spring training. Had knee surgery.
A strike to Corey. 6 homers, 13 driven in.
Corey's already done some damage against the Cardinals. 444 average, 3 home runs.
0-2.
They are going up there ripping.
Yes, they are.
Hear the bats rattling in the bat boxes. Right now, they want to send a message to Westbrook.
Al, is that a product of the scouting report knowing that Jake, number one, is around the plate a lot, but early in counts more times than not, and it's been part of his success, he's been throwing first pitch strikes.
You have to go out there, and strong recommendation to throw first pitch strikes. And Dan, it's amazing how when you do that, very few end up a base hit.
Here's a ground ball to short, could be a double play. Out at second, double play. 6-4-3 on the double play. 3 hits and a run. Cardinals coming up in the home half of the first. The world champs on display tonight, and this is the lineup for Mike Matheny, Rafael Furcal, and John Jay, and Matt Holliday in the first. Beltran, Freese, Molina, then Carpenter, Schumacher, and Jake Westbrook. Yovani Gallardo, the Cardinals have had his number in his career. 4 starts this year. He's 1-1. And it really doesn't make any sense because this guy, when he's right, is flat out nasty.
He's 1-9, 1-8 in a career. I'm just getting ahead of myself a little bit. 1-8 with an ERA over 6. He pitched against the Cardinals on opening day at Miller Park. They hit 4 home runs against him, 7 hits, 6 runs, all earned, 5 walks, and 3 2/3 innings. But anybody else, he's one of the best pitchers in the league.
Rafael Furcal leads it off. Gallardo a year ago, a 17-game winner, and the first Brewer to notch 200 or more strikeouts 3 different years. Last year, 33 starts over 200 innings. 1 ball, 1 strike, and he had 207 strikeouts. The amazing thing about the Milwaukee Brewers a year ago, their pitching, along with Braun and Fielder, carried them to the division championship. But they only had 1 complete game from a very good staff, and that 1 complete game was Yovani Gallardo. Two and 2 the count on Furcal. 400 average for Rafi against this right-hander. A couple of home runs. The Cardinals as a team offensively, despite a poor road trip for the most part, are still second in the National League. 22 home runs and first in on-base percentage. Here's a 2-2. Right down the middle. Furcal strikes out. Looking for something else and looks at a called 3rd strike. Defense behind Gallardo tonight, presented by Dobbs, with Braun, Morgan, and Hart in the outfield. Ramirez, Gonzalez, Weeks, Gamble on the infield. And Jonathan Lucroy is behind the plate. That's presented by Dobbs.
Good to see John Jay back in there.
John Jay dealing with a sore shoulder, had a shot the other day to alleviate some of the inflammation and pain. It's in his right shoulder when he banged against the wall last time we were here in St. Louis, and he shoots one to left. Braun is there for out number 2. Yovani Gallardo and our Toyota keys to the game. This actually includes postseason. He's 1-9 against the Cardinals, even though he has struck out 8 per 9. You see the high walks, nearly 5. And against everybody else, he's been terrific. Average of just 239 allowed. They talked during spring training about trying to eliminate long at-bats and long innings for Gallardo. They want him to stay in the games. He averaged last year 4 pitches per hitter, which was second most in all of baseball, and 17 pitches per inning.
Too many stats.
But it does give you an indication that you prefer him to shorten that up a little bit and stay in games.
Today, 12 pitches per inning is considered very good.
One ball, one strike on Matt Holliday.
Catcher will do a lot of signals, the pumps, different touches with nobody on base. I would assume they don't have to go out and tell what the sign is when somebody does reach second base. And it's also a good way to keep the opposition from really kind of seeing a pattern.
Here's a 2-2. Any idea, Al, why he would not just, do it the old-fashioned way? And he does there at the end by putting the fingers down. But why would you touch around the knee and chest? Any idea?
Well, because you don't know what is their indicator. Is it touching the right knee? The fingers could mean absolutely nothing.
There's a base hit into right center field. Morgan over to cut it off. And Holliday just going with the pitch. Went down to get it too, it looked like, and picks up a 2-out base hit.
2 and 5s could be fastball. Get in adding, subtracting. There's all kinds of ways. But the best one is to keep it simple.
And explain what the indicator is. What exactly is that?
Well, if there's your ball, you see that was a pitcher's pitch down and away. Well, it depends on, how we say an indicator when your third base coach flashes signs to a runner. Well, you could do the same thing. A catcher could say, don't pay attention to anything until I touch the mask. Then once I touch the mask, then you can start, counting. And, maybe you go to the knees, you go to here, you go to 3 basic places: the knees, the chest, and the face. Those fingers could mean something, or it could mean absolutely nothing.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Beltran. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, and a runner at first. Carlos, a really rough road trip, only 3 hits. Average has dipped to 265. If you're wondering, last year, Jonathan Lucroy threw out 28% of base stealers. They really like him defensively behind the plate. And he signed a 5-year extension. Spring training. The Brewers just rave about his dedication to the pitchers first and his offensive stats second. I'm sure you can appreciate that.
No doubt about it. And I think that's when you talk to Dave Duncan or Mike Matheny, Tony La Russa, they will say, that's what they admire about Molina. First couple of years, he, was hitting like 218, 209, something like that. But he was first responsibility is catching the staff, working with the staff. And as you get familiar with that, get a little more experience, then all of a sudden his offense is taken off to where he's going to be a complete ball player.
Last road trip, 3 for 23. With 2 of those 3 hits coming in one game last Friday. Full count. Holliday off with this next pitch.
This could be a good sign for both these pitchers, because the umpire, Ron Kulpa, St. Louisan, is calling an awful lot of low strikes. Both of them work at the bottom of the zone.
There goes Holliday. The 3-2 is fouled back. Ron Kulpa was in a little bit of a controversy during the World Series, you might remember, with a blown call. Took some heat for that. Three and 2 the count. Now Ron is a big hockey fan, so I'm sure he called the commissioner's office and said, all right, make sure you put me on those Blues home games. Ron is a huge St. Louis Blues fan. He also was a member of the umpiring crew the first ever game here at Busch Stadium. The 3-2 pitch. Beltran strikes out, and the Cardinals strand Holiday. 1-0 after an inning of play.
Fresh.
Back at Busch Stadium, Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin, Jim Hayes is with us as well. And here's a look at Matt Gamble. He is the fill-in for Prince Fielder. Takes over at first base. And Gamble breaks his bat off the end of the bat. David Freese with it. One away. You get two favorite destinations for one great price. The Cardinals Six Flags double play combo. And for just $55, you'll get a ticket to a 2012 Cardinals game, a one-day pass to Six Flags St. Louis. Double play combo at cardinals.com/Six Flags. Mr. Smooth at the plate. Talk about a guy that can really pick it at shortstop, Alex Gonzalez.
Getting that reputation of being a winning ball player, team frequently in postseason play.
And really, it's a position now defined by, you know, big guys. Troy Tulowitzki and others. That body type is not what it once was, Al, when you were playing the game. Shortstop was a guy that you didn't expect to hit home runs. You just expected to be able to pick it, have some range.
It was probably close to 20 years ago. Went to one of the Players' Choice Awards, where the alumni was giving out awards, and it was Reggie Jackson, who was, you know, a big man by the standards there in the 70s and 80s.
Reaching for it, Gonzalez for a Kyle to his left, 2 away.
And he was giving the award to a young A-Rod, and A-Rod just towered over him.
Yeah. A-Rod now at third base, and remember, it was A-Rod, Nomar Garciaparra, and Derek Jeter, the big three shortstops that everyone in baseball raved about, talked about. And Jeter, the only one left right now at short. A-Rod at third, and Nomar is broadcasting for ESPN. Here's Jonathan Lucroy, who's batting .261.
Jeter's not exactly getting tired, is he?
What a great start.
Great start, not slowing down a bit. True professional.
Another ground ball. This is more indicative of that sinker of Jake Westbrook. 3 ground ball outs. Freese, Molina, Carpenter coming up. Take the Cardinals with you wherever you go this summer. Watch the Cardinals in HD on Fox Sports Midwest on your favorite devices. Visit Cardinals.com, MLB.tv, where baseball is everywhere. Here is David Freese, MVP of the World Series and against Milwaukee in the Championship Series. Remember, he struggled against the Phillies. And he talked about just the other day in visiting with him, putting the foot down, the front foot down against the Phillies in the division series and in a couple of at-bats against Roy Oswalt. He went back and looked at video, and that changed everything, because against Milwaukee he hit .545, 3 home runs, drove in 9 on the way to the MVP award.
Ball up, gets on top of it, and just pulls it through the left side.
Cardinals with 2 hits tonight. Leadoff base hit for Freese, and here's Yadier Molina, leads the league in doubles. Base base hit into right. The first two have reached. Back-to-back hits, and it brings in Matt Carpenter.
Off the plate, right down the middle. And he shoots to the right side. Always like to see Yachty hit the ball that way.
Getting a long look at Matt Carpenter with the injury to Berkman. Cardinals getting meaningful contributions from Carpenter too.
Carpenter's first plate appearance against Gallardo.
You just never know who might emerge and come out of your system and be productive, and that's been the case so far with Matt Carpenter. Problem for Matt was that last year, if he wanted to play first base, you had a guy that was not going to move there in Pujols. You got a third baseman now in David Freese. You would figure that he's in the fold for a number of years here in town. So you've got to figure out where to play, and Carpenter has added the outfield to his resume. Check swing and a strike, according to Ron Kulpa.
I mentioned that Gallardo is one of the best in the league. Just struggles with that 1-8, 1-9 if you count postseason record against the Cardinals. But he can dominate a lineup. And I think I've counted up. We have 9 home runs in this lineup against Gallardo.
One thing about Carpenter too is that in the minor leagues, it gets overlooked just how well he did in drawing walks. And if his role as a pinch hitter emerges, that's something you think about. A guy that can work the count, hit from the left side, and get on base. His on base percentage in the minor leagues was very good too.
Well, we see he's got a pretty good batting eye. Is top of the strike zone, but he takes it and it's called a ball.
The future, you think about Matt Adams at first, so not sure what would happen with Carpenter over there as you get a look at his numbers with runners in scoring position. Spoils that pitch.
Very likable guy. They like the fact that he's a sponge. He'll hang around with the veterans, looking for every little tip that he can find, and quick learner.
Runners at first and second. Back-to-back hits for the Cardinals. The 2-2. Ground ball towards third. They'll step on the bag out there, and they'll get the lead man.
Ramirez was off the line. He thought about trying to complete the throw to first, try and get the double play that way, but with David Freese coming down on him, he elected just to stay at the bag, don't throw it away. So he comes over here. You can see he's kind of looking to see where the runner is. Then he kind of jumps up a little bit to avoid the slide. Freese trying to force a bad throw to first.
Schumacher hits it out to deep left center field. Morgan on the move, can't make the catch. 2 runs will score. Schumacher on his way to third. Racing in with a triple. The Cardinals are on top 2-1.
Now Skip Schumacher feels like he's part of the team. Only 13 at bats at Memphis in a rehab. So really they're talking about more than halfway of spring training, trying to cater to the oblique. Coming off the bat of a left-handed hitter. This ball is going to continue to slice away from his center fielder. Nigel Morgan could never catch up to it. and he had the play in front of him. He could read that one easy. Triple and 2 RBIs.
Westbrook with the infield drawn in. Back to Gallardo. And staying put, Schumacher at third. We had a special announcement today here at the ballpark concerning the World Championship replica ring, and we'll get kind of a state of the team address with Cardinals president Bill DeWitt coming up in the third. You missed out on the first replica ring. You're going to like the news that we bring to you.
Well, by the way, that is one very, very attractive promotion.
And now we should point out too that if you have a ticket for any of the championship promotions, the replica ring, the trophy, the banners, whatever the case may be, but every single fan, if you have a ticket, gets the item to take home. So it's not just 20 or 25,000, but everybody here at the ballpark.
And that ring is very nice. It's really made out of, not only does it look like the real thing, but it's made out of metal, and apparently you can actually take it to someone and have it sized for yourself. I had my buddy with me, youngest grandson with me on the ring giveaway, and he got his, and on the way home he goes, "It's mine, it's mine."
Here's a 1-1 pitch for Cowell. And he looks at a strike. He was called out on strikes his first time up.
And a little backdoor breaking ball. Way outside.
The 1-2. Get out of play. Rafael for Cowell, the 34-year-old two-time All-Star. And he waves at it, pleading his case that he got a piece of it. Did not. It's a strikeout. And Skip Schumacher, after 2, has given the Cardinals the lead. A triple into left center to score 2. Freese and Molina. 2-1 Redbirds. Baseball is brought to you by MyKiaSt.Louis.com. Right now at Jack in the Box, you can try the new Chipotle Chicken Club combo for just $4.99 plus tax. And by the new wireless receiver from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/for-your-TV. Rethink possible. Jake Westbrook, one of the fastest workers in baseball. We're struggling just to get the billboards in to pay the bills. That's all right. He's got a lead of 2-1, and joining us is Cardinals president Bill DeWitt as we come your way. Game 1 of this 3-game series on Fox Sports Midwest. And Bill, first of all, thanks for being with us. And we should mention right here, that is the real ring. We have the replica ring and also the world champions cap next to you. And there's a strikeout of Gallardo. But very exciting day because you have announced that there is a second ring giveaway for the fans coming up.
That's right. Our fans so enjoyed the giveaway on day 2 with the ring day that we just decided, you know what, this was one of our most popular promotions we've ever had, so let's just do it again. So we picked a day, July 6th coming up, and we're just going to do it again and give everybody who comes, all 45,000 fans, one of these rings on their way in.
That's amazing. And again, this is every single fan that walks in will get that replica ring. It does come out, and I know that you were asked about this after, and it's a great problem to have because you guys won in 06, and the ring didn't come out of the actual little base here. Right. So the fans said, well, wait a minute, we want to be able to wear this around town. So you made it where you could wear that ring. And again, that date will be Friday, July 6th, and that's when the Florida Marlins will be in town. These tickets will go very, very fast. Now, one of the things we should mention that's on the ring, and Ricky Weeks looks at a strike on the inside corner, was that you designed this ring. I mean, you had input from other people, but primarily you designed the ring. So talk a little bit about what went into the actual ring that the fans will get and what you have on your fingers as well.
Yeah, well, the fun things that we wanted on here were obviously the bird on the bat on top. and then the world champions. And then on the side, you know, there's some fun things, the STL, of course, and the number 11, which we celebrated. But the thing that I think is getting the most play here is the rally squirrel is on there. And on the real ring, he's a little guy that you have to sort of look pretty hard to find. On the giveaway ring, he's a little more noticeable, but I think it's just a fun fan thing that he was such a big part of the story that was the World Series.
There's no doubt about that, as Ricky Weeks bounces it up the middle for a base hit with one out here in the top of the third. Bill DeWitt, the Cardinals president, is with us, and again, that ring giveaway, the second ring giveaway, and my understanding is, in talking with Dan Farrell, who's been around over 30 years, is that this is the first time the club has ever decided to go back and say, look, the response has been so great, we need to do this again.
Yes, that's right. I don't think we've ever done this before, and you know, we've already sold, you know, several thousands of tickets, and those people just luck out, I guess. That's great for them. And so if you want one, though, there's, you know, not that many left tickets, so get on there and buy them if you want this ring. And yeah, we just decided it was something that, because people liked it so much, let's get some more out there and pick a date that still has some room on the schedule, and people can go and check it out and wear it. And some people's even gone into jewelry stores and sized them up.
That's amazing. Friday, July 6th. Get your tickets right now at Cardinals.com. They are on sale as we speak, as Morgan looks at a ball up and away. Something that you're heavily involved with is with the March of Dimes, and tomorrow is one of their biggest fundraising events. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, tomorrow's the March for Babies, and it's the annual March of Dimes charity event that really brings a ton of people out, about 10,000 tomorrow for their big walk. And it's a run and a walk tomorrow at Forest Park. And the runners show up at 7, and the walkers show up at 9. And it's a 5K for the runners, just about a mile for the walkers. And I'm really looking forward to just kicking things off. Ceremony, you know, maybe break a bottle on the on the stone or something. But it'll be fun. It's just such a great cause. March of Dimes, you know, birth defects as well as early pregnancies and early deliveries, and they do such a good job in the community of raising awareness for that issue, and then really help people that have to deal with it. And people can go to the event. It doesn't necessarily have to be sign up right now or have signed up in the last couple of weeks. You can actually show up tomorrow at Forest Park and away you go. That's right. You can just show up, and you know, you can fill out the paperwork quickly, and they'll get you started. This could be a double play ball. 4, 6, 3. You like these quick innings? They're fun. I'll take them. Good stuff. Thank you, sir. Okay, thanks, Dan. All right, that's Bill DeWitt, the Cardinals president, again Friday, July 6th against Miami for that ring. 4 hits aside, and we have Fox Saturday Baseball beginning at 11:30 tomorrow. Brewers Cardinals or Royals Twins. It'll come your way at 11:30 tomorrow morning. Once again, that ring promo Friday, July 6th against the Marlins. And anybody that purchases a ticket, you will get that ring. First time they've ever done that promotional item. That there were so many fans that heard about it, saw it, then their friends got it, had a chance to look at that item, and some folks wear it. So they said, let's roll it out again and make sure we answer to the fans what they want, and they have. There's a base hit out to left for John Jay.
John Jay, such a likable young man, and really getting a chance last few years. Whereas Ludwig gets traded, and then last year at the trade deadline, Kobe Rasmus to create more playing time for John Jay, and he hadn't done anything to disappoint or make them regret those deals.
Here's Matt Holliday. He singled on a 3-2 pitch to right center. He's 1 for 1. Left stranded back in the first. One ball, one strike.
Matt Holliday is 6 for 21 with 3 home runs against Gallardo.
Think about opening day starters in recent history for Milwaukee. It's been Ben Sheets. He had 6 of those. Had arm problems at the end of his career. Finished up with Oakland. Yovani Gallardo, to the surprise of some, made the opening day start against the Cardinals at Miller Park. And many believed it should have gone to Zach Greinke. Now, Ron Renicky said, I'm going with a guy who has been in my system and showing loyalty and letting him get that special nod, which was opening day.
And Gallardo is the ace of this ball club. Greinke, you know, never lost a start last season for Milwaukee. So that's, I think, people are saying that, but I think Ron Renicke's saying, hey, this is my guy. Just try and get him over the hump and get him some victories against the Cardinals, and nobody will talk about that.
Yeah, Zach went 11-0 in 15 starts at home last year. And Greinke will pitch on Sunday against Jaime Garcia. That'll be a fun matchup Sunday afternoon. We'll have that broadcast for you here on Fox Sports Midwest. Just inside, and the count runs full. Let's see if they want to start the runner. John Jay.
Get a good jump. You don't have a good jump, you don't want you to run, but if you do have a good one.
3-2 pitch. There he goes. And it's taken low. First walk issued by Gallardo. And let's take a look at Gallardo with a 3.65 ERA. That's the best for Milwaukee, but then compare that to Loesch, Westbrook, tonight's starter, Lance Lynn already with 4 wins, and Jaime Garcia. Just gives you a little indication of just how well the Cardinals staff has come together this year.
One of the attitudes this ball club has taken is we aren't going to dwell on the fact we don't have Carpenter. And Wayno's off to a little slow start. We'll concentrate on the guys we do have. Get behind them. And the starting pitching has set the tone for the ball club, and that's why they're in first place in the Central.
Chris Carpenter celebrating his 37th birthday today. David Freese will be 29 tomorrow. And this guy, Carlos Beltran, turned 35 on the road trip. Chris, he celebrated in style today. He was at one of your favorite places, Al. He was at the zoo with Ava, young daughter.
Wasn't sure where you were going, but that was a very true statement.
It is.
Yep.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Popped up and out of play. Inning started with a base hit by John Jay to left. Then the walk to Matt Holliday, and the count is 1-2 on Carlos Beltran. Big gap into right center. See if he can't turn on one. And right now, Beltran in his first funk with the team, Al, at the plate. What have you seen with him?
Well, I think part of it is we started hitting cold weather. You know, he's told us that he is a very slow starter. We had warm weather, even though we had some rain, still was pretty warm. And then on the most recent road trip was the first time we saw a little hiccup in his game. But
2-2, base hit into right. Here comes Jay. Hart bobbles in right. Run scores easily, and the Cardinals lead it by the score of 3-1.
11th RBI for Beltran, and he said, you know, when weather gets warm again, he'll get there, but he's got too long a pedigree. Former Rookie of the Year, 3 Gold Gloves, multiple All-Star selections. Corey Hart, a very good outfielder, couldn't come up with the ball cleanly, and that guaranteed Hart could not get John Jay at home plate.
Here's David Freese. David with a base hit and a run scored tonight. 2 on and nobody out. Real problem right now for Milwaukee. You can easily point to the loss of a guy like Fielder, but their pitching has not been to the level that it, not even close to the level that it was a year ago.
Point to the bullpen too and say they're lacking a little bit of depth they had last year. By David Freese, hit safely in 14 of his 16 starts.
Milwaukee is under 500 at 9-10. Coming off a record season for them, franchise record, 96 wins, and the first division title and playoff win as members of the National League Central Division. Ryan Braun, the MVP last year. And Freese looks at a strike, and it's 2-2. That's a pitch, though, we've seen David Freese just take to right, and not only take it to right, but hit it with authority, hit for power that way.
As a pitcher, when you have someone that can spray the ball the opposite field and do it with power, you can't stay in one location out there. You got to keep on working in and out, up and down. There he tried to go with the breaking ball.
Now you've got to wonder about what's going through his mind at times when he's just sitting there and thinking about everything that's taken place here in the last 6 months or so. But you know, it was just 10 years ago he was out of baseball. Went to Mizzou just to be a student. Up the middle. That's a base hit off the bag at second. A run will score. And it's 4-1 as Freese comes through.
Cardinals catching a lot of little breaks right over the mound, and then it hits the bag. I doubt Ricky Weeks was going to make a play, but it hit the bag and carry him over. Look at David. Highest averages in April, 332. He's 2 for 2 tonight. He's got another RBI. He's up there at 19 now in RBIs. That's going to be in amongst the league leaders.
And already the Brewers don't like what they see. They've got a right-hander up and throwing in the bullpen. Now, it's hard to figure out why a guy that has the kind of stuff Gallardo does struggles against the Cardinals. And I mean, it's not just a hiccup here and there. I mean, his numbers are terrible against St. Louis.
Well, he's already allowed 7 hits, 4 runs across the plate. Got runners in the corners he's responsible for. And like this inning, 4 straight hits, or 4 straight base runners in the 3rd inning. Opening day, he went 3 2/3 innings. And one thing I could say, Dan, is he's worrying about it, thinking way too much.
Here's Molina. He singled and scored.
It's the what if game. What if I just was 500 against them? His numbers just pull down everybody else. And there you see where David Freese is amongst the NL RBI men.
Runners at first and third with nobody down here in the bottom of the 3rd. Yadier Molina, for fans that are coming to the ballpark tomorrow, will receive his 4th consecutive Rawlings Gold Glove Award. And also, it's the first of its kind, the Platinum Glove, which is awarded to the game's best fielder. And time was called as Gallardo finished the pitch. Matter of fact, Molina is the only Cardinal catcher the long history of the organization to win 4 Gold Glove awards, and he passed up his manager Mike Matheny and also Tom Pagnozzi, who's a season ticket holder here. They each won it 3 times.
Mike has 4 of his own, but only 3 as a Cardinal.
If you're Ron Renicky, Al, how do you play this? You've got nobody out, 2 balls, 1 strike. You're down by 3. You see that Westbrook is starting to find it now. With your defense, do you allow that run to score and just get the 2 outs, or are you trying to keep that runner from scoring?
Double play depth. It is a 4-1 game. Nobody outs here. You'll give the Cardinals a run and take the double play, unless it's right at a fielder, line drive right at, and they can double off the lead runner. And you know that's one of your starting pitchers. He's your ace. You got to run his pitch count up there.
Taps it foul.
Lucroy is setting the defense for the infield, and Gallardo kind of these Cardinals once again. It's very difficult, but if you're going to be the true winner all the time, you've got to present a very positive image when you're standing on that mound.
Runner goes, and that's in the dirt. Gallardo has really struggled with that breaking pitch and trying to locate that, and not even to have it in the zone, but just to try to locate it for strikes, and he can't do that. Bases loaded.
Talk about how hitters, they want to know what a pitcher has. What does he have in his repertoire? But then if they can start eliminating pitches, and like you say, a lot of times they're taking that breaking ball. Sometimes it's called a strike, other times it's a ball, but they're kind of laying off that because either they're noticing something or it just doesn't look good enough to them.
Cardinals are hoping that Lance Berkman would be available next week at some point, dealing with his sore calf, and Carpenter then you'd see potential playing third or the outfield, filling in for Berkman, pinch hitter. Alan Craig not too far away either.
He could be activated next week. So he's now playing in Memphis. And Dan, you know Kendall's going to talk to Carpenter, but the way the ball club is going right now, there are going to be some disappointed guys when the healthy ones start coming back. But what you need to do is take a very positive approach in that and just say, okay, I showed you what I can do. Now when I come back, and the guys are going to be sent down will come back. Now you're coming back with Mike Matheny and the coaching staff, and even your own teammates have a better appreciation for your game. So go down with a good attitude and then come back strong.
Hit an even 300 last year at Memphis, the 26-year-old. Hits it down the left field line, slicing foul and out of play.
I didn't think Matt Carpenter had a chance to make the ball club, but he did something that's very difficult to do. He understood that he needed to become more versatile, so he had to play more multiple positions, especially the corner outfielders. But Mike Matheny, Mark McGuire and John Mabry got him to use his lower half, use the legs, and load up on and drive the ball in the gaps.
Here's a 1-2. 2-2.
Something I saw him in spring training last year, and he was the talk of camp. but he just flared the ball. He just had a knack for hitting something that wasn't impressive at all, but it just found a hole. And eventually that caught up to him. But spring training this year, all of a sudden he was driving the ball and hitting the ball in gaps and becoming an RBI guy.
Becoming a long inning here for Gallardo. Nothing to show for it. The 2-2 upstairs. This is where you ask a guy like Matt Carpenter, a rookie, to be patient, but with his, longevity in college baseball and in the minor leagues, it just seems like he's been around longer than he has.
Yeah, he's got a very good eye, and with a veteran pitcher on the mound and a rookie at the plate, advantage usually goes to the pitcher, the experience. Right.
Carpenter with a drive, center field. Morgan back, looks up, hits off the wall. 2 runs will score. They'll hold up the runner at third. That's Molina, and Matt Carpenter drives it off the wall in center field. 6-1 Cardinals.
Right on cue does Matt Carpenter show you why he's in the big leagues this year. Because all of a sudden he's driving the ball and he picks up 13 and 14th RBI. 6-1 lead for the Cardinals. And that's it for Gallardo.
Wow. They knock him out with nobody out in the home half of the third. Carpenter 2 RBIs. Cardinals with a 5-run lead. Most RBIs among rookies in the National League. Matt Carpenter 7 better than Hector Sanchez, who is second, and Carpenter's doubled that with 14. So Matt Carpenter, bases loaded, drives it nearly out of the ballpark.
Using the lower half, his legs. Nigel Morgan really did not play that ball particularly well. As he kind of just drifted back, he could have possibly gotten back, put his back against the wall, and regroup. So our Mid-America Chevy called to the bullpen. Mike McClendon.
Hello, Mike. Greeted with a base hit by Schumacher. Run scores, and it's 7-1. Schumacher already a big night with a triple, a single, and 3 RBIs.
Remember, we saw Schumacher join the ball club in Pittsburgh and then had some terrible luck in the first game back. His fastball out over the plate and another line drive off his bat.
McClendon, a couple of games, high ERA over 7. And that's up and in to Jake Westbrook. Showing bunt with a 6-run lead.
Still early. All those unwritten rules are, one, they're been thrown out of the book.
And Westbrook gets the bunt down. Look back the runner at third, and out at first is Jake. Runner advances Schumacher from first to second. And still only 1 out.
Simple techniques, knees flex, see the barrel is higher. Eventually got to the point, and then you saw the ball hit the bat, have it deaden, so then the comes back in. But the real key is you have to have that bat out in front, over the into play and fair play. You have it back, it just makes contact, and it's a foul ball.
Well, Furcal is happy that Gallardo is out of this game. He struck out twice against the big right-hander. Mike McClendon was called up a week ago from Class A, AAA Nashville. Pitched against Colorado, struggled before getting it out. There were 3 steals against him in that ball game. They've also had the use of Willie Peralta lately. That is a pitcher that was working in relief. It's considered one of their top prospects.
Think be in a little trouble as they do not have Monday off. They go to San Diego, and they don't have an off day till May the 3rd. So first game of a series, you can get your starter knocked out, get into that bullpen. Somebody's probably going to have to take some lumps.
McClendon is in for Chris Narveson, the former Cardinal that was part of the Larry Walker deal back in 2004. And Narveson, the lefty, is out with a shoulder.
Rotator cuff, right?
That's correct.
Have surgery.
Runners at second and third, and the infield is in. 3 balls and 1 strike on Rafael Furcal.
Big gap out in left center.
And he walked him. Cardinals bat around here in this 3rd inning. Second time they've had the bases loaded. That's 3 walks in the game and 3 in this inning. And all Yovani Gallardo can do is sit and watch.
Still responsible for the Carpenter out on third base.
That's a base hit into right off the bat of John Jay. Here comes Schumacher. He will score, and a throw into third is offline. 2-run score on the base hit by Jay. It's all St. Louis, 9-1.
Well, we didn't have much offense on the road trip, but early in the homestand, it's a different story. Ball running away from him. He pulls it through the right side and on through. Hey, get to the big guys.
Holiday has doubled, walked and scored. That finishes the line on Yovani Gallardo. Nice block behind the plate. Only 68 pitches for Gallardo tonight. Jake Westbrook on the other side through 3 as 41. Ran into a rough spot in the first, but a real key play in this game was the fact that he was able to get out of the top of the first with a double play off the bat of Hart. That's a base hit for Holiday. 2-hit night for Matt Holiday. 10-1 St. Louis.
Matt, big and powerful. He just drives the ball through the infield with that swing there.
Carlos digs in, 1 for 2 on the night. RBI single this inning. Struck out back in the first. As you mentioned, Al, this might be one of those nights that Ron Renicky says, all right, Mike McClendon, you're going to take one for the team here. We need innings, we need outs.
It's just beginning, facing a explosive Cardinal offense. So then you go to San Diego, so no off day until next Thursday. And you might just have to, like I say, take one for the team. It's a nice crooked number, isn't it? Snowman. You got to keep on pushing. They're beating us 100-28.
Line to second and out at second. Double play. He ripped it to the second baseman, Weeks. What an inning for the Cardinals. They bat around. 8-run score. It all adds up to a 10-1 St. Louis lead as we head to the fourth.
You can shop for groceries, even run other errands while your prescriptions are filled at Schnucks full-service pharmacy. If you want, the pharmacist will text you when your prescription is ready to save you time. You already count on Schnucks for fresh produce, top quality meats and seafood, fresh baked goods and prepared foods. Why not enjoy one-stop shopping for all your mealtime and household needs and save a trip with the pharmacy at Schnucks.
Jake Westbrook now has been given a 9-run lead. It's 10-1. Braun, Ramirez, and Hart. The strike to Ryan Braun.
And a lot of times when you are the pitcher and you have a long inning like that, you go out and ask the umpire, say, hey, I need a few more. And sometimes they'll grant you. You are given 8. But after a long inning, a lot of times you can get a couple more pitches if it's necessary.
Jake Westbrook enjoying a great start early this season individually. You can even see when he grips the baseball and starts looking in to get his sign. He's telling me the other day he's been very conscious about the grips on the ball, the sinker, the slider that he has incorporated here the last few years, as to not tip pitches.
Well, there was many people believe that he was tipping pitches, and especially when he was taking the ball over his head. So you see he holds his palm, the hand full, and so when you reach in to change the grip on the baseball, you don't see the tightening of the glove that could dictate. You'd only do it on, say, one breaking ball, and then these guys, with all the video they're watching, they pick that up. They know it. If you know what's coming, it helps.
Second strikeout here for Jake Westbrook.
So what he's tried to do, instead of taking the ball from the belt and raise it over his head, he just starts at the letters, holds it right there. And I don't care what you do in a windup. At some point, you from a full windup, but at some point you kind of get right like you would do if you were throwing from a stretch. See how he turns right there? Looks like the stretch.
Then the ground ball, this one to second, 2 away. Al, I was talking to him the other day and I said, how did you learn the sinker? Who taught you this great sinker that you have? He said, you're looking at him. He said, I've always had it. Even when I just played catch. He said, I'm like a lefty with that, with the natural movement on the ball. But you get a look at Derek Lilliquist, who helped spot on video potential of tipping those pitches. He said, but that sinker is God-given. He said, I grip the ball, and it always has had movement and had that natural sink to it.
Slider there, but the other aspect of having a very simple motion is it's very easy to repeat it. And if it feels good and you're throwing strikes with it, you're staying on top of it, you're getting the good movement, well, then you just, when you're repeating it, you can almost do it in sleep, and you know where the ball will go.
And that's exactly what he was saying. He said the toughest thing with it, and Westbrook will make the play here, is just getting the feel of it, whether it be warming up or as the game progresses. Makes that play, and it's all Cardinals 10-1. That's a look at the World Series champions cap. You saw that war last year in the postseason celebration. Well, you can look like one of the Cardinals. Wear it like a pro. One size, by the way, fits all. First 25,000 fans entering with a ticket tomorrow will get that cap. Cardinals.com. Cardinals.com to get that cap. And here's a look at David Freese. Got the World Series replica trophy for every fan that comes through the turnstiles on Sunday. The Brewers, their struggles with pitching continues tonight. Collectively, 4.88 ERA coming into this ball game. And there's an off-speed pitch. 78 miles an hour and a strikeout for McClendon. Matter of fact, Ron Renicky was saying before the game,
Knuckleball.
I'm not sure if that's a knuckleball. Al looked like a little spin on it.
I thought well, I didn't say it was a good knuckleball.
Had the spin and the rotation of maybe a.
Looked like he's trying to throw one.
Yeah. Or maybe he just was flipping it up there and it didn't do much. Enough to strike out David Freese. Ron Renicky, though, saying before the game, the 5th and 6th innings, 7th inning has been an issue. They try to get it to their very good closer. Most people in baseball will tell you that that's an issue. Bit of relief. Bridge that gap from starter to your very good reliever.
Maybe a spike curveball or something. I saw the knuckle the one time, and whatever it is, I would venture to guess it's not a pitch that's going to take him real deep.
Here's a 3-1 to Yachty. Grounder left side. 2 outs. Last Tuesday, John Axford recorded his 47th consecutive save. 1 year to the day that he began the streak against the Houston Astros. 47. Lidge has done that. Gagne, Tom Gordon, and Jose Valverde. There's a fly ball out to left and a 1-2-3 inning for the Brewers. We head to the 5th. We'll talk a little hockey this inning. John Kelly, the voice of the Blues. Action, and the post games will be held on Fox Sports Midwest. Here's Matt Campbell, and it's a 10-1 lead for the St. Louis Cardinals. Joining us, the voice of the Blues. Good to see you, John.
Hey, Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's nice to actually have you come in the booth and not talk about the upcoming season, but how about the upcoming postseason? That's kind of nice to talk about for once.
How about the upcoming second round? That's even better, right?
It is.
It's been a while. It's been a tough go for the team over the last 5-6 years. Dan, as you know, they've gotten better and better, and now they're on to the second round, and hopefully they'll do a lot of good things here in round 2 and move on.
And tell us a little bit about this matchup. Kings Blues, what should we watch for starting tomorrow night?
You know, very even teams. They're both big clubs that can play defense. The Blues were #1 in the league in goals against. The Kings were #2. Both have excellent goaltending, as we know. Elliott will start for the Blues.
Yep.
Jonathan Quick for the Kings. I expect a low-scoring, tough series that I think will go 6 or 7.
John Kelly, the voice of the Blues on Fox Sports Midwest, is with us. You have your playoff beard going, and
what do you think of it, by the way?
It's not bad.
Not bad, right?
I just can't grow one. If I could, I would, but I can't do it.
Well, now that I've started, Dan, there's no way I'm shaving now, right? No chance.
You got to look like one of the players out there. That looks good.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll cross our fingers, and obviously a lot of the Blues are doing it and raising some money, and some of it's going to the 14 Fund and other different charities. So it's for a good cause and a lot of fun.
And Gonzalez is hit by the pitch. By the way, John Mabry is a Cardinal coach, as you well know, this year, and he is growing his Blues playoff beard, and I believe you're helping this out as well. I'm reading it now, but the Joshua Chamberlain Society, I was asking John about this the other day. He's got the beard going, but the Joshua Chamberlain Society, it helps soldiers that have had life-altering issues coming back
their
from
families,
war, and their families.
Yes.
So it's a great cause and raising money for that. Let's talk a little bit about what we're doing then on air, which is something we have not done before. We've done it with the Cardinals, but not with the Blues, and that's post-game shows for the postseason, and that begins tomorrow night.
Exactly. I think it's great, Dan, because Blues fans, they want the local flavor. And Bernie and I will be on the setup in the Bud Light Zone after every home game, and then we'll go to LA and do the games out there. So we'll have the interviews, the analysis, you know, the Blues perspective, their angle. So I'm sure the Blues fans, after watching the games on another network, as we say, they'll tune over to Fox Sports Midwest and watch our post-game coverage.
That's great. And, you know, I don't know, John. I mean, I was around the club for a long time, and, you know, watching it now from afar, I just feel that this team, more than other teams, the way that things have fallen in the Western Conference with the fact that Vancouver is out, Detroit is out, you've got a hot goaltender in Elliott. This just might be the exact combination that the Blues need to advance even after this round.
And they're healthy.
Yeah.
Aside from Halak, who is skating again, there's a base hit. They're healthy, and that's I'm just pointing it out to you. By the way, what an inning the Cardinals. We were sitting down. My son and I were sitting. I don't think I've ever seen as many hard hit balls in one inning by one team. I mean, really, every ball was hit. There's our playoff schedule, Dan.
Saturday, Monday, the 3rd, the 6th, and let's hope that's all we got. Just
4-game sweep.
Yeah,
all right.
Then we're off to round 3.
That'd be nice. That'd be real nice.
Saturday and Monday at Scott Trade Center. By the way, I know a lot of fans are probably wondering about tickets. Any idea where we're at right now with that, John? Is it completely sold out, or should we just check on the website?
You know, I think we better check on the website. My guess is if it's not sold out, it's very close, but tickets could be hard to come by, and that's not a surprise.
Not at all. You know, to tie this into baseball a little bit, when the Blues first came to town, one of their announcers was the late, great Jack Buck. And people forget that Jack actually did hockey, and then Bob Hyland, correct me if I'm wrong, but the man that ran KMOX for so many years and built it into a powerhouse. As you get a look at Jack, his picture on the wall in left field, but Jack did hockey. He was a huge fan of the Blues even after his broadcasting was done with the team. But all of a sudden,
Jay Randolph was also the other announcer that year.
That's right. And all of a sudden, a guy named Dan Kelly makes his way from Canada to right here in the Gateway City. I don't think fans that understand how great your dad was could put it in perspective. I mean, your dad is the greatest hockey voice that probably has ever lived.
Well, it's nice of you to say that. And obviously, Scotty Bowman had a big say in who they hired. As a matter of fact, he recommended my dad to Mr. Hyland, and obviously had a great career here in St. Louis and also nationally. And it's sort of ironic. You know, my dad worked for so many years as an announcer here, did the national games, but of course never was on a team that won a Stanley Cup. Yet he got a World Series ring because he was part of the broadcast crew for the '82 Cardinals when they won the World Series. So it's sort of ironic that you had the Cardinal announcers start as the Blues announcers. Then my dad came along and he won a World Series ring.
Did your dad enjoy baseball?
You know, he loved baseball. He loved football, baseball, every sport. He did a lot of Mizzou, of course, and Big Red. But I know he really enjoyed working with the late, great Jack Buck and Mr. Shannon in the booth. It was a big thrill for him to do that and to call some Cardinal games.
I've walked into the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, and the first voice I hear is your dad. He's calling the Canada Cup. He's calling different
Bobby Orr's goal.
Well, for sure, that goal, but I was trying to think of the goal. He called it in the All-Star game, and I'm thinking of the line that had Gretzky, Lemieux, and who else was on that line? Help me out here. There's a great, great call from your dad. But anyway.
You know, that call might have been from the '87 Canada Cup when Lemieux dropped it off to Gretzky, or Gretzky dropped it off to Lemieux, and he scored late in the game. It was a great call. Might have been his best call ever in a big game.
Getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, me too, Dan.
You sound like your dad. Do people tell you that?
Yeah, some people do, yes. Yeah. I get that a little bit, and anytime I hear that, I take that as a compliment. But, you know, he certainly had his own style, and I'm glad that people still obviously remember him and think very fondly of him here in St. Louis.
So we will see you tomorrow before the game and then after the game on Fox Sports Midwest.
You got it, Dan. Thank you very much.
Every playoff
should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the post-game shows with John and Bernie. Here's a look at the replica trophy. Fans will get that on Sunday afternoon. Every fan that comes out buys a ticket. You walk away with that trophy, brought to you by Tickets.com. That's a look at the replica trophy. You'll see that on Sunday as Schumacher digs in and looks at a strike. Buddy Tony West who's on our crew, always hard at work getting those shots.
Are you play-by-play guys through?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll tell you what, his analysis was some of the best we've heard in a while.
I could tell. He even taught you what a base hit was.
Talking a little bit about Jack Buck and Dan Kelly, two of the greatest ever.
And I remember when Dan would do the Cardinal games.
And John was telling us he had a ring from the '82 series.
Sure, but late in the season when Jack would be doing football assignments and Bob Starr was on football assignments, that the great Dan Kelly would get some time. He was the hockey announcer, right?
I said to John, I think he's the greatest ever. And I'm certainly not alone in that feeling, not just here in St. Louis, but the entire country and certainly up in Canada too.
I remember they used to have a sports banquet at Michael's Restaurant in Highland, Illinois. And I'm at this, had all the tables out in the parking lot, and everybody was asking, give him your call. Give me your call.
That's great. Westbrook sacrifices with the club up 10-1. We can tune in before every game, and this Sunday we've got Toyota Cardinals Live, and it's the Sunday Sevens. And this week we're counting down the last 7 Cardinals catchers. Cardinals Live Sunday at 12:30 on Fox Sports Midwest. Last 7 Cardinals catchers. Gary Bennett would be in there. Yadier Molina, Mike Matheny, Eli Marrero,
Eric Pappas. What was it? Eric?
I know you're thinking of in the late 90s. You had Home Run McDonald if you include him as. But I don't know the parameters. Do you have to be a guy that was up here for months, weeks, days? Catch one game?
Who knows?
Find out on Sunday.
We were talking about the unwritten rules that really have come apart now, but I still believe many of those, the way the scoring is today, you wait till the 7th inning before you stop some of those games. The gamesmanship of stealing a base or sacrificing a man over. Tony La Russa, when he was managing the White Sox, had one of the best answers for a Dave Rader was very upset. The manager, Doug Rader, was very upset with the manager of the Texas because Rudy Law tried to steal a base with a big lead. And Tony told him, he said, well, if your base stealers or if your home run hitters stop hitting home runs, I'll tell my base stealers to stop stealing bases. But you can get in a lot of arguments when do you shut off offense? But then you see all these high-scoring games. It's no lead is really safe anymore.
Strike 2, John Jay. Pagnazzi will probably be on that list of the catchers.
Even if he's not, he'll be on the list for the Truck.
The Truck loves him, so he'll be a part of it. 0-2 the count. 1 out. Runners at first and second. Here's the 0-2. Jay with a base hit into center. Another run will score. It's 11-1. John Jay back in the lineup tonight. And he looks sharp. 11-1 St. Louis.
Third hit for John Jay, his third RBI, but back in the 3rd inning, John Jay got things started in the Cardinals' big 8-run 3rd inning. There was all kinds of excitement, and the Milwaukee pitchers didn't help out with plenty of walks also.
It's tough to keep up with all those highlights. It all added up, though, as you mentioned, 8 runs. Lots of hitting. They knocked out Gallardo, did not record an out in the 3rd. Here's Holiday. mentioned before the playoff beard for John Mabry. It's the Joshua Chamberlain Society. Help families and wounded soldiers. And we've had a couple of questions about where they could find out more about that. JCS.org. Base hit into left center. 12-1. Holiday's .224 average is on the rise.
Another 3-hit game for Matt Holliday. On base 4 times with a walk. And another RBIs. People are having fun. Ball stayed up and breaking ball up and just hits the ball so hard, just hammers it right by Gonzalez before he can even react.
Al, does he remind you of anybody you watched, have seen, played with, and talking about Matt Holliday and just that vicious cut that he takes, number one, and number two, how the ball just jumps off his bat?
I think, like you said, just the ball just explodes off his bat. He's not a home run hitter. He's a line drive hitter that happens to hit home runs because he just overpowers the baseball. Manny Parra now throwing from Milwaukee.
Happy 21st birthday to Yvonne Meyer, celebrating tonight here at the ballpark.
Set up inside. Inside the strike zone.
One ball and 2 strikes on Carlos Beltran. Just missed on the inside corner. The 2-2 with runners at first and third. Popped up. David Freese with a couple of base hits, runs scored. He struck out 2 for 3 on the night.
Average up to 354.
Won't be too long. You'll start hearing about those all-star ballots.
I believe they're out now. Let's get a bunch of Cardinals on them.
You would have to think with what he did on the national stage that the reputation and the name of David Freese has got to be on the minds of baseball people outside of St. Louis.
He's on the radar now for sure. And I think, you know, his jersey sales quadrupled since last off season. He's now number 20th of all major leaguers. His jersey has the 20th best sales volume.
Pitch number 119 for the Brewers, and there's a fly ball into right, and we are done. Cardinals add to their lead. They lead it 12-1. Westbrook only gets 70 pitches on the night. Returns. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Taco Bell, Live Moss, and by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Zoo, a busy place today. And Niger Morgan greeted by boos and a strike from Jake Westbrook. Say that Niger has been very quiet this year. Not as vocal.
I think when you're batting 180, you better be quiet.
I would say that played a part in it. 1-2. Has a base hit tonight Also hit into a 4-6-3 double play. Cardinals have turned 2 double plays tonight. T Plush was one of his alter egos, and he said before the season his new alter ego is Tony Hush. Hits it to third. Freeze. One away. The High Point Theater, not too far away from here. About 10 or 15 minutes or so off of Highway 40. What's on tap is brought to you by Budweiser, Estrada, and Loesch. That's brought to you by Budweiser. Kyle Loesch going tomorrow for St. Louis. He's been terrific, trying to go to a perfect 4-0. They talked about Estrada getting the start tonight, but they wanted to keep the rotation normal day's rest, so Estrada pushed back, and Gallardo went tonight and was knocked out in the third. Here's the 0-1 to Braun. First pitch strikes, big key tonight.
No doubt about it. How's Jake done tonight? 15 of 21.
There are 18 games played. Comparing last year to this year, a real concern for Milwaukee was trying to find protection behind Braun. How would he be pitched? Here's a grounder that's hit to short. Rakal whips it over to first. Westbrook is cruising.
Well, that ground ball, that's his best friend, and pitching with a big lead. Just really still attacking the strike zone.
There's a look inside the Champions Club, the UMB Champions Club.
Yeah, Cubs and Brewers are trying to gang up on us. Still can't take on the Cardinal fans.
26 flat screens. It seats over 300 in the Champions Club, and the unique part about it this year is you get a look at Ramirez is 67, 82, 06. And last year's World Championship trophies are inside that club. So if you'd like to take a picture with the World Series trophy,
and
go there.
1967 was the first year that the commissioner's office would give the winning team the championship trophy. There's been other artifacts. You know, the rings were not, I guess they go way back also, but there were tie tacks, there were cufflinks, watches, belt buckles. Jerry McNeil, Jerry's retired from the zoo, but he still helps out there. Was a curator of the reptiles. Probably has the largest selection.
Pictures of all those championship rings.
Yep.
A historian of the rings. But that's all inside the Champions Club, and that's all you can eat and drink, and indoor, outdoor.
It's our favorite spot.
We'll be broadcasting from that spot when the Chicago White Sox are in town.
June 13th, I believe. Is that right?
That's correct. It's a Wednesday night.
You see, 5 strikeouts, 11 ground ball outs, and only 1 fly ball out.
Jake was the winner of Game 6 of the World Series. Said it's something that you always remember pitching in World Series play. Said he was the most nervous he's ever been in his career when he got into Game 4 at Texas. And remember, this is a guy that started Game 7 of the American League Championship Series for Cleveland in 2007.
You just never know how a veteran or rookie's going to react on that big stage.
He said, though, pitching in that game was big for him. Butterflies were away and just went to work in Game 6, and David Freese did the rest. He's doing it here tonight. It's 12-1. North Star Ice Cream is before every Sunday home game here at the ballpark. This Sunday after the game, too, kids can run the bases. Frozen treats, Cardinals.com for the North Star ice cream as well as the replica trophy. Our Chevy call to the pen, really been up and down last couple of years for Manny Parra. He's considered one of their better starters for a while, and now he's working out of their pen. Here's Yadier Molina. If you're just joining us, one of the big announcements by the Cardinals today, the replica ring. That'll be July 6th, another World Championship replica ring. 1-0 to Yadi. First time the Cardinals have ever done this. They've heard from so many fans they thought they needed to do another one to try to accommodate all the requests that they've had. So another replica ring will be on the Friday night against the Marlins, July 6th.
And the Cardinals really do things the right way, don't they? When many times we'll see other ball clubs, they'll do 10,000, 15,000 in their giveaways. And the Cardinals do it first class, generous.
And we should mention, too, that every fan, it's not just the first 25,000, which you hear a lot, but every fan that night walks away with a ring. If you have a ticket, you get a ring. 3-1 is a ground ball to short, taken by Gonzalez. One away. Nissan drives of the game, and we had a bunch to choose from. The Cardinals now with 13 hits tonight.
Well, just in a lot of guys have multiple hits, but there was an awful lot of hits in the third inning where the Cardinals scored 8 runs. Just going out there, just banging the ball. Offense was a little lacking on the road trip, and nobody pointed fingers, and they all came out here. Good pitching, good defense, and great hitting.
Matt Carpenter with one of those big hits, bases loaded, and a double off the wall in center. 14 RBIs on the young year for Matt Carpenter. One and two the count. Mike Matheny has talked about Carpenter staying in against lefties. They like how he does not pull off many pitches. It's going to happen sometimes, but they feel against left-handed pitching, he hangs in there very tough.
It's all about the front shoulder. Whether you're pitching or whether you're hitting, if you let that front shoulder fly open, you're going to pull off the pitches as a hitter. You're going to not control the strike zone as a pitcher.
And there's a swing and a miss. Strikeout for Carpenter. 2 outs, and fans here at the ballpark busy with their scorecard. I'm sure you have been at home. I know we are up here. A lot of offense for St. Louis. The in-game box score. And it is busy. 13 hits tonight. Only 1 and 9 in the lineup without a base hit. Schumacher breaks his bat.
Skip, triple. And producing RBIs. He got 2 RBIs with the triple. Single, and he scored another RBI. His last time up, he walked and scored.
And now you talked about it. You know, Skip has told us that last year when he came back from the DL, really was forced into action and timing was all off. His average was unlike Schumacher, which historically has been around that 295, 300 mark in his career. So there is a track record there, but he's come back with what he described as only about 15 or 16 at bats since mid-March, and he looks pretty comfortable.
He does. And you know he's not there yet, but you really have not seen some of the problems that he had last year when he came from extended spring and only had about 3 games of extended spring, facing all the young kids, wild throwers. But I think mentally he was able to turn it on a little bit better this year.
Big news for the Washington Nationals tomorrow. Bryce Harper, at the age of 19, will make his major league debut. #1 overall pick back in 2010.
Is he 18 now? Something like that.
He is 19.
19.
That's to the backstop, and par is all over the place. Nationals dealing with some injuries right now. Ryan Zimmerman has inflammation in his right shoulder. Brad Lidge is on the DL. So Harper gets the call up. A strikeout of Schumacher, no argument from him, sends us to the 7th. It's 12-1 St. Louis here at Busch Stadium. Bank of America Club here at the ballpark, and that's one of the great places to go. Food, drink included. Ticket to the game. Trivia question tonight: which Cardinals closer has converted the most consecutive saves in team history? We're talking about Axford earlier for Milwaukee, and it's Izzy back in 2007. Expanded into 2008. Jason Isringhausen still in the game, now pitching with Los Angeles Angels.
There they are. See, it looks like Yachty's playing first base. Cruz would be behind the plate. Tyler Green is at shortstop. What did David Freese do wrong? He's there, still third. Robinson in right field. Komatsu in left field. And Carpenter's over at third. That makes sense now.
Did you get Komatsu?
Yep, I got him.
Okay.
He's
Robinson.
in left. Robinson's right. Got them.
Green at short.
Yep.
You got Yachty, I heard that. Carpenter at third, Cruz behind them. All right, I'm caught up.
You got Schumacher and John Jay, who have missed time with injury, so they're out there. Westbrook go at least another inning. A lot of people say they don't like to pitch with a lead. I'd rather pitch with a lead than be behind.
Jake is due up first at bottom of the 6th.
And that's what you think. Maybe 7 innings is fine. You had the off day yesterday. You have an off day on Monday. And J.C. Romero is throwing in the Cardinal bullpen.
Here's a ground ball and a ground out. Familiar statement tonight we've made. Ground ball outs for Jake Westbrook, and they are piling up.
He's given up 6 hits on the night, and 3 of those were in the first 4 batters. So he got the double play off the bat of Corey Hart, and since then it's been pretty much cruise control.
Back in 2004, Jake said that Dick Pole really was able to take his game to another level because he added the cutter. And in adding the cutter, he said lefties were just killing his pitches, tune of around 400 or so, and added the cutter, and that made a big difference to having success here in the major leagues.
Left-hand batter, low ball hitter for the most part. Kind of got a good look at the release point. And the cutter, something coming a little harder, coming right in on him.
Jonathan Lucroy. Love to see that double play here. Finish up the night. Oh, 0-2. Jake grew up in the northern part of Georgia, grew up a Braves fan. Said he idolized John Smoltz and Greg Maddux, and now that Smoltz is heavily involved in broadcasting, he said those two talk quite often. He said that's just been a thrill, having a chance to, you know, visit and pick the brain of a guy like John Smoltz, who he idolized growing up in Georgia. John will be inducted into the Braves Hall of Fame coming up.
Big three. A lot of kids grew up idolizing them.
Smoltz, Glavine, Maddux. Here's the 0-2. On the infield, and Carpenter makes the catch. Third baseman by trade. We have noticed a slim down Jake Westbrook here in 2012.
I don't know. I can't really explain that. I think it's gotten to be a little bit bigger a deal than what it is. But I think for the most part, it's just, you know, losing 20 pounds. It's just kind of I feel better about myself. I feel more confident about, you know, where I am physically, and I think that's just the biggest part of it is just how I feel, and it just kind of carried over into my, you know, my confidence on the mound.
And you've mentioned it a lot, Al, how he puts himself in a really good fielding position by design because of the ground balls, and 20-25 pounds down, you're going to move a lot better, and he's done that this year.
Sure, and not that he was obese or anything, but it was all around the midsection, and that'll creep in a little bit and match you up with it. And also, like you said, Smoltz was his idol, and he's throwing 100 pitches now. You see how many pitches per inning, but there's also Greg Maddux told everyone, if you're going to be a sinker ball, you got to be a good fielder.
High fly ball into center. Jay was playing very shallow, and the catch is made. It's time to stretch. Outstanding night for Jake Westbrook. Saturday, June 16th, Kansas City will be in town, and a limited number of tickets are on sale right now. It's Pooches in the Park. Bring your dog down to the ballpark. Cardinals.com/Pooches. By the way, Al, since the announcement of the rings, the replica rings, July 6th, the second giveaway, first time the club has ever done that. Already over 6,000 tickets have been sold in the first couple of hours for that game. So if you're thinking about coming down to the ballpark, once word spreads that this is happening, it will sell very quickly. So make sure you get your tickets right now at Cardinals.com. So Jake is batting for himself here in the bottom of the 7th as Romero continues to throw.
He will not go back out and pitch. So we have a depleted bench. Mike Matheny only has Descalzo available. Is that right?
Believe so. Cruz is in. Yachty stays in the game. We've seen the additions in the outfield. Robinson, Komatsu. Here's a 2-2. Strikeout of Jake, and that's how we start the home half of the 7th.
3 strikeouts in a row for Parra in his second inning of work.
One out, and Tyler Green. Before you know it, we'll be seeing our final time of Chipper Jones coming through St. Louis as he has announced his retirement effective at the end of the year. He's got a couple of RBIs tonight for the Atlanta Braves.
A real pro and
future Hall of Famer.
Yep. Nice where fans can say that early enough so fans can make plans to come out and honor him or see him play for the last time.
Strikeout of Green. This past week he had a home run at Dodger Stadium. He grew up loving the Dodgers. On his 40th birthday, hit a long home run against LA. Big crowd here at Busch Stadium. 11-run lead. And John Jay with 3 hits, 3 for 4. Well, they did that for Bobby Cox. He made his announcement that he was stepping away. Another Atlanta Brave. One ball, one strike. And I believe the Cardinals gave Bobby a autographed photo, or big photo I should say, picture of Stan the Man that was signed. We'll see if the Cardinals come up with something special for Chipper.
Barrow had elbow surgery, removed bone chips last season. Appears to be healthy with his 4 strikeouts in a row.
That's slicing down the left field line. And over to get it, make the catch. T. Hush. (12-1) in favor of St. Louis. Welcome back to Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Let's go to Jim Hayes with this Bommarito Sports Update. Jim.
Thanks, Dan. Cubs in Philly facing Roy Halladay. No score in the 4th. Starlin Castro reaches for a pitch. Looks like it's going to hit the ground and pokes it into right. 1-zip Cubs. They go on to win 5-1. Bills drop to 9-11. Dan and Al, back to you.
A little bit surprising. Thanks, Jim. We'll hear from you on the postgame show. The Phillies slow start. Here's J.C. Romero.
That was Halladay today. Pitched that game. Now you got guys that need work in the Cardinal bullpen. The Cardinal starters have been so good. Eating up innings, pitching well.
Cesar Izturis is part of that revolving door at short for the Cardinals. Romero in, the lefty. 1 of 2 for Mike Matheny. And that's a strike. And this is one of those guys, Al, that needs a lot of work. You know, if you're a situational lefty, which by all account at times he will be this year, you know, those guys, it's like day after day you see them, but Romero has not pitched much at all.
April 19th was the last time out.
Lives in Alabama, and he's from Puerto Rico. Off the mound, spins, throws, 1 away.
Oh, lefty, not very big, but bounced around with several clubs. And we're talking about Philadelphia. Stiff back leg. Comes forward with a stiff front leg.
Jake Westbrook now has lasted 6 2/3 innings or more in all of his starts this year. First time he's ever done that in his career.
Cardinal starters are just taking advantage of the nice start by the offense and good defense.
leaning into the pitch. Nyjer Morgan hit by the pitch.
Ball a little bit inside, doesn't do much to get out of the way. Has that elbow pad. And you think if that's a carryover from last year, I doubt it. Romero wasn't there. Cruz doesn't know what's going on. Big game like this, you don't give them an opening. But Dan, I have seen stranger things.
You? There's Gomez with a fly ball. Carlos Gomez, who came in hitting .371. Lately, he has been a bright spot for Milwaukee. 2 away. Mention how last week we were in Pittsburgh and J.C. Romero and Carlos Beltran went to the Roberto Clemente Museum, had a personal tour while the place was closed. Saw his game-used items. And both players talked about how emotional it was because of what Clemente has meant to those from Puerto Rico. George Kataris is the pinch hitter. He's also the backup catcher. So we've talked about this, Al, how Ron Renicky will use him more than just a backup.
He's a very productive bat. He's got power. So there's times, you know, a lot of clubs will reluctant to use their backup catcher. But Ron Renicky's kind of like, hey, I'll find somebody that can finish an inning for me, finish a game. But in his mind, Kataris is one of his better bats coming off the bench.
One ball, one strike. 2 outs and a runner at first. Fox Saturday Baseball tomorrow. We'll be back with you on Sunday. Greinke and Garcia. Good pitch. Tied him up, jammed him, popped up, and Carpenter has it. It's 12-1 St. Louis.
On behalf
Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Famous Blueberry Hill. Del Mar. 13-hit attack for the Cardinals. They lead it 12-1. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Eric Komatsu, the former Brewers minor league player of the year back in 2010, his first plate appearance tonight. No matter what happens with Komatsu, who is a Rule 5 guy, and we've talked about the Cardinals starting to get a little bit healthier, in particular with an Alan Craig who can play the outfield. Komatsu, for himself personally, has picked up unbelievable experience. Likes of Lance Berkman, Carlos Beltran helping him out and playing in the big leagues. He's from Southern California. Grew up a Dodger and an Angels fan. But overall, he said, I love the Braves. The other side of the country, watching them every day on TV. And he lines a single into center field.
I like his little short, compact stroke. He never played above Double-A, and he's held his own. And been given plenty of opportunity to pinch hit here and there, and pinch run. So right now, you can keep him there and not really stunt his progress or his growth as a baseball player. We'll find out later on, because it's very tough to keep that Rule 5 player and sacrifice a spot when you're trying to win.
Shane Robinson, he's done a heck of a job. On the mound right now is Tim Dillard. You see a sidewinder. It was 2 years ago that Dillard was shagging fly balls during batting practice, and he would throw sidearm to the bucket at second base to get the balls back in. And this is a right-hander that used to throw 95 miles an hour overhand, but straight. Just couldn't put it together in the minor leagues, so they advised him, if you want to try to make a career of this, do something different. So some of his coaches saw how good he was slinging the ball back into the infield. They said, why don't you try that when you go out on the mound? And now he is exclusively sidearm, and he's also out of options, so the Brewers decided to keep him.
He did have some time with the big club last year. Dillard did allow 5 runs over 3 innings through his first 3 appearances, and then since then he's posted a 1.29 in his last 6.
And Al, he's a great example of, yeah, you throw 95, but it's straight, you can't locate, you get beat up at this level, where when he's throwing it this way, sidearm, he's topping out around 87, 88, but movement. Now lefties do have a pretty good shot at him. He's got to be a little bit more consistent against lefties, but they like what they see.
And now we talked earlier in the game, you know, the Cardinals sacrificed, did all the thing trying to get the big lead. Now that it is in the 8th inning, they're not holding Komatsu on, and he's not going to take that base.
And Cruz waves at it. So let's take a look at the sidearm delivery here of Dillard.
Well, if you're a right-handed hitter, it looks like he releases the ball behind your back, and then it'll move. But if you're a left-handed hitter, there's no obstruction of the watching the release point, and that's what hitters try to do. And they watch that release point, and if they can see it clearly, then they're gonna get you.
A little bit low to Yadier Molina. Yadi in last year's postseason played every inning of all 18 games. 5 years now he's been a part of teams that have gone to the playoffs, and a key figure of all those teams.
For an extended period of time, you can replace everybody but Yadi if you're trying to win.
Really is true.
You know, if everybody else, you can put a body out there. Say if Holiday goes on the disabled list for a month, or a David Freese. Cardinals did that last year. They found that there was life without Yadi, or without those guys. But Yadi is so valuable to the pitching staff, and also a clutch hitter.
Mike Matheny buying him some innings right now by playing at first base with a big lead. He's caught over 3,400 innings the last 3 years, and that's tops in baseball by a wide margin.
I had to shut him down, not last year in September, but the 2 previous years.
This is slicing into the corner in right, and a fair ball off the wall. Run will score. That's Komatsu, and Molina adds to his league-leading double total.
His 9th double of the season. RBI giving him 13. This ball slicing. It'll stay fair, but it'll just keep on cutting towards the stands, and then almost bounced in the stands. Then it took that awkward one, got away from the right fielder.
Lucky number 13 for the Cardinals tonight. 13-1 with 2 down. Here's Carpenter.
Just to have the lucky 13 run pool, and some club would score 13 runs in a season. Now it seems like some club does it once a week.
Back to Dillard. Yadier Molina adds to the lead. It's all Cardinals here tonight. 13-1. 15 hits tonight for the Redbirds. And a 13-1 lead. Home Depot doing more on defense, and it's Jake Westbrook, Al.
Well, he just went out there, 7 innings of doing just quality baseball. Came in with a perfect record, or his 2-1, and run that 3-1 with Salas doing his job. But three of the 7 hits that he allowed were to the first 3 batters, or first 4 batters. And when they scored their lone run in the first inning, everybody having a little fun when you score 13 runs on 15 hits.
About this time last year, Fernando Salas began finishing games for Tony La Russa after the rough start and just trying to find a guy that could settle down that 9th inning. Struggles Brian Franklin, and Salas was that guy. And eventually it was Jason Mott.
Led the club with 24 saves. And the third-born Mexican pitcher to acquire as many as 24 saves at the big league level.
Really stabilized the back end of that bullpen.
Remember when he and Sanchez came up? Neither one of them made the team out of spring training, but when they came back,
There's a grounder backhanded by Molina. Leads Salas. Nicely done by Yadi, and these fans appreciate that. Coming up next, it's Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. We've got a Hungo Award being handed out. Look at all the highlights around Major League Baseball. And a big night here in St. Louis at Busch Stadium. Who are they imitating? It's a fly ball off the bat of Matt Gamble. 2 away. We turn to our player of the game, and why not starter Jake Westbrook. This is brought to you by Budweiser.
7 innings, 7 hits, 1 run. That was back in the first. He hit a batter and struck out 5, and is on the verge with his 101 pitches tonight, picking up his 3rd win in 4 decisions.
Alex Gonzalez at the plate.
Pick up a win on the Milwaukee in the standings.
I think we all know that games early on, you know what, they do matter come game number 162 after last year.
Oh, games you win in April, you don't have to win them in September.
This is popped up and should do it. We're back home at Busch Stadium, and what a way to start. The Cardinals win it 13-1.
A fun game right here. Plenty of offense. A lot of runs scored. Good defense. Good way to start the homestand.
Great job by our producer tonight, Brian McCann. Our director, Tom Mee. For Al Rabowski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Stay with us. Jim Hayes and Rick Horton are standing by. We're just getting going here at the ballpark. Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. 13-1, and it comes your way next.